I had an interview yesterday with Kerry Mann, Healing Humanity guy, doing the documentary. Homesteadhow is his YouTube page. Like usual, this body gets nervous when speaking in camera and with somebody. It's much more easy to speak to myself. And I was rushing through the story of Ere, and yeah, I thought to open it more here in this video. I also recently did video in Estonian language how this 13+ month as carnivore have been here, what changes I have seen and so on. So yeah, let's start from the beginning. So as long as I remember, Ere was always a picky eater. I didn't like meat, I didn't like fish, and most of the veggies too. I ate only few things like potatoes, eggs, cheese, bread, cereals, yeah, and that's it. I ate only one soup. There was potato and cabbage, and when my mom did it, she tried to do it with meat broth, just so I could consume at least something. But if I figured it out that there's some meat, I didn't eat it. So she had to be careful. But yeah, from my early age, I started to have pains in my knees, and I was constantly complaining, my knees are hurting. When I was 11, then they discovered that I have osteoporosis, thinning of the bones. They took samples from my knee, and I was sleeping while they were doing this in hospital. And so they discovered this. Also, they discovered that I have rheumatism and asthma. I had breathing problems and overall joint pains. So this was when I was 11. When I was 16, first time in my life, I had such a big back pain, lower back pain, that I couldn't stand straight. I couldn't walk without crawling or supporting myself and holding on the furniture. So yeah, I took very strong painkillers, but they basically didn't do anything. Maybe only it was thinking that they helped a little bit, but I couldn't still walk or stand straight. So I had many episodes like this next years, and when I was in my early 20s, it went very bad, and I think it happened after my birth, when I was giving birth. And then we started to look again what's wrong. Visited different doctors and did the MRI. Not sure if it's in English this way. We say MRT, and they discovered that I have disc prolapses in my first disc. It means that this it should be round, but also what's covering it was broken, so it was like this, and it was sticking out from the discs and pushing to the nerves. So they couldn't use the easy option for me, as they did to my husband, that injected acid, so the pressure goes down and it goes smaller and it doesn't suppress to the nerves. But for me, it was already broken, so it wasn't like this, it was like this, and it wouldn't help at all. So my only option was surgery. Also, they discovered that my third and my fifth disc is also premature, no, they have thinnered. My English is very bad, sorry. So they were also declining, getting smaller, and yeah, I don't know right now in English the right word. So I had this kind of problems with my health when I was young. I'm still young, but then I was younger, and old people diseases that are common to old people. What happened to my back was there was some delay. Doctors were fighting to something, and they didn't work, and I didn't get to my appointment, and I was taking very, very, very strong painkillers to live normally, or yeah, they didn't help much. The situation was this, that when I was at bed, I couldn't come up from the bed easily to go toilet in the middle of the night. I had to crawl or support myself. Yeah, in the walking, and I was like, some days I was this, some days I was this, when you have to be like this, stand straight, but I couldn't from my back. So I was looking like 80 years old with very bad back some days. Eventually, when doctors were working again, they did a control test, checking again my back, so they know what they have to do, how many discs they have to replace or take away in operation. And then they discovered that I don't have first disc anymore. The body have resolved it somehow, and since then I don't have these kind of back pains anymore. But if you don't have disc, then you feel it differently. The bones go to each other, and you can feel it too when you're turning or something. Sometimes I hear. But the lucky thing is that it haven't disabled my walking since then. Before I was paralyzed in periods. I wasn't able to walk. In my 30s, I was starting to doing fitness training, because I was fighting with my weight, excessive weight, and I was constantly inflamed, swollen up, and that was my struggle too. I never seemed to be able to lose weight. Every diet helped, but once you stop dieting, you gain all back or even more. So I thought that when I start doing fitness, eating only counted macros and calories, not cheating, and training like a crazy 11 days in a row, in doing heavy weight trainings, yeah, it helped in my physics, but my health, and especially my gut health, started to go worse. Maybe because I started to eat more processed food, like protein bars, protein powders, sport drinks. Also, they have sweeteners inside. And I started to eat lots of milk products, like cottage creams and so on. Heavy protein, but low fat. And I started to have loose stool, and it was about 9 or 10 years ago, something like that. And over years it went worse. Then I thought to cut out dairy, but it didn't help much. I started to have more and more problems with my gut, and similar time my husband had the same thing, although he didn't do the same things. But our both guts, maybe it's because of just until some age you are okay, the body handles things, and after certain kind of age it's not able to do all that anymore. And maybe from that time our health started to go worse. Also, we were consuming gluten that we found out a few years ago that we have celiac gene, so that played a role too, I guess, and alcohol and all crap food that we didn't think about at all what we were eating 10 years ago and more. And before starting with carnivore a few years, I was completely plant-based. I even didn't eat eggs and no chicken, although before that I had chicken fillet also in my menu. I didn't like it, but I was eating it because I had goals to achieve fit body. And last years, when I was totally plant-based, I was following at first medical medium guy that is leader of one cult, very famous one. People get helped at first, at least, but then you can't survive with only plant foods. You need lots of supplements and you need to know how to do it. And I thought that I know how to do it because I had learned this. I become a nutritionist, and also when I was doing fitness I was very curious about macros, about food, and when I was eating plant-based, then I was checking that I get all amino acids as much as body needs, but it was just in the paper. The body can't absorb this way the plant proteins as it can from the animal. It's very, very different. Plus, if you have problems with your gut, then also you can't absorb normally. So actually I was lacking so many things, and I started to get injuries in when I was working out. And yeah, I was just collapsing in many places. I had awful fatigue. And at the end I wasn't training at all, I wasn't able to eat anything, I wasn't able to go out and walk, I didn't have any energy. I had blood in my stool, and it was like few years, last year's period, when everything went worse and worse. And from my husband the same, but we were supporting each other, and we didn't share this with others because we had our own support, and we tried every medicine, every kind of doctor we found, did different practices, different therapies, different diets, and so on. Also cut out lactose, gluten, sugar, alcohol. Everything was whole food, organic, but nothing helped. And then we found this diet 13 months ago, and now all or most symptoms are gone or lessen way more. Like the memory loss that I had, and that was already normal, I thought, for this body, that I have very bad memory. This have gone better. Before I went to another room, like many times in a week it happened that I forgot what I'm doing there. And now it have happened maybe 1, 2, 3 times in a year, and that's crazy. Also the speaking problems or finding right words have gone much better. It is more easy to talk today than years ago. I had lots of struggle to find words. They just wasn't there. And when I'm speaking you can see this sometimes. Often I change the topic when I forgot the word, because I also forgot what I was talking. It happens automatically. This is how it plays out in this body. I don't have this exhaustion anymore. Before I had to sleep long time in the morning, 9 hours, 11 hours, I was still tired, and I was all day tired. Now I wake up early morning, 6:30, 5:30. I think only 1 or 2 times I have slept until 8 when I have been carnivore. Before I had to use clock to wake up, alarm clock. Now I never have used it. So that's a huge thing when you feel energized, when you can do things, when you don't have to force yourself to do even simplest things, to put clothes on, to brush your hair. There were days when I couldn't do that. And it was, almost 40 years old, but didn't see any bright future because everything was declining, and I thought that I have tried everything until I found this. This way of living and this way of eating. It's not only about eating, it's full lifestyle. But we did all these biohacks prior to that too. But really, yeah, you can do everything. Meditate, practice this, practice that, go to sleep every day 10 p.m. and so on. But if the pace, the food is wrong, then yeah, you can exercise as much as you want. The main problem is still unresolved. And yeah, I can say this saved my life. I don't know. I can't imagine where I would be without that today, if I would be at all. Yeah, and as it has changed our life so drastically, so dramatically, I can't stay quiet. I need to share this for those who are also helpless, hopeless, tired, exhausted of this system that doesn't heal, that just maintains this this problem by just suppressing the symptoms down, and with side effects, all these chemical pills you have to take and buy month by month until you die is expensive, and you pay for that with your life too, with your health. When somebody says that eating meat is so expensive, it isn't. You eat only once or twice a day, not 3 times, not 5 times. You don't snack. And also the amount of food, the volume is much smaller. So before I could eat many kilos of food per day, but yeah, you have to eat much because they are not so nutritious and bioavailable for the body as is the meat. As example, before I was eating like 800 grams of bowl of porridge for the breakfast, with protein powders, with nut butters, with seeds, with berries, and whatnot. And I was still hungry, or at least after 2 hours I was completely hungry. Now I eat in the morning and I go 6 hours without thinking about food. And I eat like 200, 300 grams, and then evening the same. So I already eat less than before I was eating for the breakfast, just for the breakfast. And to buy all these different items you constantly throw away items because you can't consume all these rices and pastas and buckwheat, amaranth, you name it. We had all these. And also in the fridge, so many veggies often got bad and we had to throw away. Now we don't throw away any food. We have just meat, eggs, some fish, and yeah, no waste products in that sense. And for us, as we are buying from the farms, local small farms, hunters, it's 2 or 3 times cheaper right now how much we spend to the food, especially as we don't need to buy all these supplements we needed before, digestive enzymes and probiotics and so on. And also we don't need to visit any doctors to pay private doctors. Yeah, it's not excused. I don't believe that this is more expensive. You don't have to buy, even if you are living in the city, you don't have to buy the most expensive cuts. You can eat ground beef, lamb, eggs are not so expensive too. There are many cheaper options. And try 1 week and check if this way eating is more expensive, if you consider that you don't need any supplements anymore, any medication anymore. Yeah, maybe going to McDonald's is much cheaper, but you will pay later, and then you would think that why I did it, why I didn't how is the word, hold my health, take care of my health better. Because in every bite you feed your disease or you support your health. 2 options. Yeah, I definitely forgot lots of things yesterday, what to share, because of the nervousness. But it is what it is. If you struggle today with bloating, heaviness, heat waves that I had as long as I remember, even when I was a child, I felt like I have a fever constantly. But I didn't have fever. No one knew what was wrong with me. Now I have had very few times this happening when I have been carnivore, and it have gone away quickly. I haven't been able to put my finger on it, what is causing it, but I have no problems with this anymore. It doesn't bother me. Before it was daily, weekly, constantly happening. And when you are inflamed, you're burning inside, you are so reactive. You feel constantly bad, irritated very easily. You can't control anything. If you can't control yourself at all when you feel sick, you don't have to notice this even, that you feel today like a shit, like burning hell, because it's already a normal part of your life. And then you are reacting like too fast. And then you hurt people, your close ones, usually the most. Because you try to hold your shit together when you are outside at work with people, with clients and so on. But you relax when you are safe at home and then somebody else may get that shitload. Unfortunately, this is gone. All this depressive, sad mood for no reason is gone. Mood swings, crazy mood swings is gone. When the body is again stable, then it reflects outside too. When you are out of balance, you are sick, the sickness is, the body is out of balance, then you react and reflect the same outside. So yeah, it have been big change, and I guess I'm not able even to express it as well and enough. I'm not trying to prove anything, and I'm not trying to convince anybody to change their religion about food or something. I'm just sharing my story if somebody is resonating and noticing similar symptoms and struggle, then I suggest to try this. What you have to lose? It is evolutionary diet. It is proper human diet. People have thrived millions of years on animal-based diet with occasional fruits or berries or whatever was growing when it wasn't Ice Age. Yeah, so back to the roots, back to the optimal health. Getting older doesn't need to be hurtful, painful. And I was in so much pain 1 year and a little bit more ago. I couldn't stand up from the couch, I couldn't stretch myself. It took many meters when I started to move, like not like robot. I was like a young old woman. I was like stuck inside very sick and old body, and it felt like prison. When the soul is free, when the spirit is free, and this child never left, but it couldn't express, it couldn't dance, it couldn't jump, it couldn't move the head. I just remembered that I was moving like this because everything was like so painful. For years I went to the massage and I tried everything. Maybe a little bit helped, but still body was so inflamed from the carbs, from the grains, because I didn't eat gluten. I had all other grains in my menu, but they are not better. Sometimes they are even worse. And plant toxins too. They were eventually overwhelming this body with leaky gut, SIBO, IBS, reflux, and who knows what else, because I didn't have insurance, health insurance. I couldn't go to the doctor. I only went to the private doctors, and they are quite expensive, so you do as less as possible as needed. Yeah, so that was my story, more relaxed way expressed. Long story short, I'm happy that and grateful that I went through that suffering, so to speak. I went through the hell with better and worse times, until the moment when I thought I don't see tomorrow, and it was okay. And thanks to this, I can help others better. They don't have to do all these steps and pay so much money to different ways to heal, because what is the first thing they need is to change the diet, and if this doesn't help, then try something else maybe to support other ways too. But the basic has to set right. And no nutrition school teach me that. This was all this main narrative that is made us sicker than ever. And don't look help from the same system that made you sick, really. Look outside of this. But I understand when your body is weak, when your brain is inflamed, you have brain fog, you have not the capacity to think further or outside the box, so to speak. You trust these white goats and what they suggest you to eat and so on. But as you see, it haven't worked. We are sicker than ever, obese than ever. We even die now earlier, or at least we have the shorter healthy time span when we have lived. And another part of our life we are already sick and chronically sick and not healthy. So this time have shortened when the people are healthy, because younger and younger people and children get the same chronic diseases that just a decade ago was old people diseases. And like my example too, doctors were like surprised why I have these kind of illnesses so young age. Why? Because body needs building blocks that you can get only from animal food. Plant food doesn't cover all essential amino acids you need. And you don't need carbs. There are no essential carbs. All carbs you need, all glucose your body needs is 4.5 grams, and the liver makes it all. From the fat, from the protein. And when you're training, then it produces more because you're using it. So you don't need outside to consume it. Because the problem is when you consume these too much, as most of us do, then we have inflammation in the body, we have insulin resistance, eventually dementia, Alzheimer, and depression, and lots of crazy stuff that you could prevent when you eat optimal diet that is meant for this species called humans, who are evolutionary carnivorous type. So thanks for listening, and enjoy your meat, and then your body can finally heal if you let him, her. Ciao.